Playoff tickets are getting punched and others are getting knocked out. We sort out who's who on this week's episode of the Indie Ball Report podcast. Welcome back to episode number 285 of the Indie Ball Report podcast, the only show that experiences liquidity with shark posters. What do you think of that?
Would you like to buy some stock in my life? I think it's worth about $700 million. That's what I gathered you here.
Is there a dollar minimum that I have to buy?
There's a dollar minimum and a dollar maximum, but that's only because of the law, which is ridiculous.
God,
the law can't stop for-profit online colleges, and it will not stop this endeavor.
Please, since when have they ever cared about the wealthy screwing people over?
Say what you will, jump right into topics, by the way.
No floor play this week, just jumping right into the topic. We'll start it off with Oakland, who is doing great on the field, but we're not here to talk about that yet. That comes later. We're going to talk about how people are buying stock in a team that's worth apparently like $26 million or something like that.
According to the SEC filing. What do you think?
I think that valuation may be a touch high.
Nah, man, no way.
I don't think the Oakland market.
But they play in that freshly renovated public park.
Hey, that public park that got done for
they don't even own
million.
A ball. You don't even. Here's the thing. I haven't done the deep dive into it. There will be a deep dive. I understand value isn't just physical assets. However, when you are a baseball team, boy, is a lot of it physical asset, because it's not like this is some sort of revolutionary product. It's not like you're going to have, the whole world utilizing this thing. Like it doesn't have infinite potential for growth. And then when you compare it to other teams, our estimate before, I think it's pretty close. I don't think there's another indie ball team in baseball that would be truly valued above $12 million. In fact, I know from recent sales, I haven't seen anybody go double digits.
Mike Pfaff's about to sneak into those DMs with one hell of a paper.
Yeah, well, we'll see about it, but that would probably be the one that could be an exception there. But like, minor league teams might be worth 26 with their affiliation deals, which we deep dived on that one bonus episode you put out.
But even then, it'd be a slim number.
Even then. And when we're talking about teams, that comes with very, very often a stadium with property, with hard assets, other than 1-year player contracts. That is essentially saying this brand and the equity with consumers in the local area we have is valued at $26 million. That is crazy. It
sounds like you're betting against Oakland, Ryan.
Then maybe I am. Oh, I'm betting against the city that couldn't support a single major professional sports team and saying that they might not have the support to keep or the interest in sports to keep a small indie ball organization alive and successful.
Now it comes out. The betrayal becomes realized.
Again,
terrible.
It bothers me because it is seemingly not congruent with the direction of success in indie ball, at least for the whole of indie ball. Again, I'm sure personal wealth wise, this is a good thing. Again, apparently they're not taking a profit off this thing. It seems hard to believe. I know that Paul Freeman did give a personal loan, I think it was.
Yeah, $5 million to do Ramundi.
$5 million, very cool. Which is a good thing. Hey, that's fine. But also, it's not the goodness of his heart. He wants it paid back. So, yeah, it is in their best interest, certainly as owners, to have this valuation out there and going. So, it's interesting.
Eating a chip for a second. Hold on.
Good Lord, this podcast.
But, yeah, it's just a very interesting evaluation here. If people didn't see the thing, they do sell shares in the team that's $170 minimum. That's part of it. There's different perks depending on the tier of that you buy $200 worth. you get a certain thing. 500, you get something else. 1,000, you get something else. It's all a variety of different things. You do get a say in electing a representative to the team's board of directors too, which is kind of interesting. But
now
I don't really know how much power you have.
The only thing I can see, if you were looking at valuations, what is the most valuable non-Major League Baseball team valuation in the United States? Nick, what would be seen as the highest value organization that's not a Major League Baseball team in American baseball?
Probably Savannah.
Yes, sir.
So
Love to see the details in that filing that would receive that sort of valuation and why. It wouldn't be because in a recorded meeting, one of their owners was pitching the Savannah Bananas of the West Coast, or because they're currently holding a competition, let their fans make decisions on what the team will be doing in a game while the team is in a playoff race. I'm certainly not.
But you gotta wonder how that locker room's taking that decision to do that now.
Buddy. Oh, buddy. It can't be good. Especially after they've already seemed to have a couple issues with the players. It's been a bit of a rocky year for them.
That's Miles Jefferson.
Yeah, right. I gotta imagine they're not thrilled.
Which it is interesting that Kelsey went back. Like, she was the only player from that agent that went back.
Yeah, I wonder what the off the books deal was there.
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely a handshake agreement there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a bad luck to lose her. That's a PR hit.
I do wonder what Micah Franklin's vibe would be on this arrangement. The fan vote.
Let's get him on the show. After?
Right.
Actually,
just something. It would be interesting.
See on LinkedIn?
I mean, he's on Twitter.
Ooh.
Or he's on Instagram, I believe. He responded to a DM that I sent once.
Oh.
You know.
Like that interesting.
Isn't it? Look, I don't know. There's a lot of conjecture here. A lot of it is based out of distrust. This organization does a lot of stuff that seems to smell. A lot of stuff that we get messages from others about, like, dude, I don't know about all this, from people who see more than we see. I would be hype. There's every reason to be excited about an indie ball team being valued at this, except there's too many red flags attached. So if we get the why do you guys pick on Ottawa, Ottawa, on Oakland.
I was going to say, we've never picked on the nation's capital.
I'm literally just checking a note I have about Ottawa right now. So O teams got crossed up, but that's kind of where we're at, man. Is that fair to say? I mean,
yeah, I mean, that's definitely a fair thing to say. You also stole my O-face joke there, but go for it.
Nice. Well done. I'll take that.
But yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, again, I've said it multiple times. I'll say it again just so that way I can sound like a broken record with it. But like, this team is the class president of teams. They promise a lot, most of which they can't deliver. And so I can't tell if it's through those promises, and I assume some sort of preliminary planning that they have available, that they use that to kind of boost their valuation, and then just throwing out the Savannah Banana name at a time where, you know, like, they're hot. Helps get that over the hump. The fact that it is a large market. I mean, it's probably what we say the second or third largest market across indie ball.
Yeah, sure.
Because Long Island would definitely be ahead of it,
right?
And then potentially Cleburne would be my thought for the other one.
I mean, also all the Chicago area teams, so they're all kind of splitting.
True. Yeah,
but also like they have a more competitive baseball market. You would assume. I mean,
that's fair too. But in any event, it's a top tier market, so I'll give them that. But yeah, I mean, like, the ballpark, they don't own it. But even if they did own it, I can't imagine the valuation is much more than, like, say 2 for the value on it. You put 1.6 in, and we're willing to go up to 5. But like, even in the most generous terms, I can't see you eclipsing 12. And even then, I mean, it's not worth that.
Right. I agree.
So
yeah,
I don't know. Plus,
there are questions. I mean, look, if I see
doesn't help either. Right? Like, at least if it was in, like, say, the Atlantic or American Association, I could see, like, okay, well, the league you're in also helps boost it a little bit too. Pioneer League is not boosting your valuation.
Doesn't have that. No, in fact, it might hurt it at this point. Not to fully shoot at the Pioneer League here. It's just it's unproven, and there's lots of talk that some of the organizations are struggling.
Yeah, and we know California and Colorado get popped worse for payroll. So
right. I mean, it seems like they've. I know they're saying their attendance is good, but like even if their attendance is great, like they've still. I mean, they've spent an
enormous amount,
a ton of money. Yeah, they spent a ton of money. Like even if it wasn't like officially speaking, Oakland ballers spending it, if it was one of the owners spending it, still like I don't know how that all has worked out in the books, but
yeah, I don't know about that either, but they gotta be in the red hard. They gotta be.
Yeah, and again, they say they don't care, which is fine, and I
applaud that. I appreciate
it so many times. I've called for more owners like that. It's just that I don't trust the intention of that organization. I haven't since the jump, unfortunately. I want to. I think it's a really cool idea, the westward expansion of the Pioneer or any indie league. But it just feels very the public facing signs look good, but the behind the scenes signs look bad. And I always feel this is and something I referenced before. Again, I've said that 10 times, feel like already in this episode. But again, we're sitting there and like, well, what's wrong? This is one of those tough ones, and at least for me, where a lot of what I'm hearing is from people who are just a little too close in one way or another to be okay with me saying it, because it becomes a little clear. There's only so many people have certain information, and it starts to become a little clear and too easy to put puzzle pieces together on what exactly is going on and who is saying what. So I really try to, unfortunately at this point, avoid it, but there will be a time when we can go a little more in depth here, but I'm still kind of in the holding pattern where a lot of stuff I know I can't really say, which sucks. And I also am aware it chips away the perceived validity, and that's fine.
That's really the hardest part with doing this, that there's only so many people there, and then you have to either doctor it so much, and by doctor, I mean just conceal identity of whoever's telling you it, or remove like certain key identifying details. But when you remove the details, now it's just like, it sounds like you're talking out your ass. Like,
right, exactly.
Like a person close to me said this thing, and it's like, well, hey. So I see where you're coming from. I that's a struggle with it, but yeah, it's just the whole organization. It's hard to trust them, especially when they keep doing things where it's like they start to look good, and then it's like, oh wait, you got an agent saying how you didn't do anything for an injured player, and guys were getting robbed.
Yeah, and that wasn't public before.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the other thing. The robbery thing is a headline in my book. I mean, I feel like that is headline worthy, and especially for a team that gets so many headlines, it did raise an eyebrow with me that there wasn't reported, and it made me wonder what else isn't reported. And when I dug in, there probably is a little bit more. So, I mean, not necessarily in that vein. I'm not saying that. Yeah, dude, I've said before, Lexington is in a rough spot. That's the one part of town that like don't feel comfortable walking around in. Like, there's plenty of organizations like indie ball teams, by definition, typically don't go into the like highest income cities. So typically, there's a bit of risk for that. So I'm not saying it's an only Oakland problem. I'm not going to sit here and be like, Oakland's that much worse than other places. I'm next to Reading. Reading has like top 5 poverty line in the country. Like when it comes to like number of people below the poverty line or percentage, like I'm aware. I'm not going to sit here on a high horse. It's worse than Gary, Indiana. So I know, but I'm also saying,
did Gary just catch a stray?
I'm actually saying I know a lot of times it sounds like we're burying Gary, like, oh, it's impossible to recruit there. I'm the first one to be like, I'm seeing a spot that is, when it comes to the poverty line, worse off than Gary, Indiana. So like, I'm not punching down. So
it's like Shangri-La compared to your neighborhood.
Sure, man. Sure.
But I mean, if we're gonna,
I live up on the mountain. I look over Whoville.
I look over the peasants working the land.
Hey, I didn't say that.
He's basically said that.
Good folks down there. I mean, I don't talk to them, but good folks.
I've been told they're nice people.
Yeah, they're all right. Whatever.
Speaking of organizations dodging headlines, though, Southern Maryland, we have not talked about in a little bit here, despite them having a huge incident that resulted in the death of a child.
We'll talk about something where there's very limited sourcing we can use publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, still not a ton to say other than what we have said already, which is like, keep an eye on this thing. This is not going to go away. I've had more and more people reaching out like, yep, this is not going to go well. The only thing to watch on what could save the organization, which again, organization being a loose term even because it's not even probably the same people, is the fact that it sounds like there is a buyer for the team that has been in the works, which would be investing money in early. I'm wondering if that's jeopardized by any of this. But so far I haven't heard that come out. So, I put out there, I think you and I talked about the next day, where like literally this organization does not appear to be strong enough to survive a lawsuit over a wrongful death of a child. I still feel that way. However, I do suspect that there's a good chance that the new ownership would save this. It also sounds like the state of Maryland has agreed to invest money into at least some things or something involving the ballpark. However, again, that can change with all this. So I would just be aware there is I would say a better than non-zero chance. I guess I would just say a non-zero chance that Southern Maryland Blue Crabs do not appear on the radar next year. I would not be overwhelmingly shocked and continue to feel that way until we learn more.
Because I was going to say there, should they get hit with a lawsuit and should it be a large either settlement or ruling against,
right?
Would it make more sense if you're a potential buyer here to be like, oh, look, let's wait and see how this plays out. Then if they can't, survive the financial hardship, they fold. The Atlantic League's going to want to fill that gap. Presumably they want to stay in the market because,
to Frederick. Yeah.
You either go to Frederick or what you can even do if you're this potential buyer, you still want the team in that location. Just buy another franchise right there. I'm sure the Atlantic League will give it to you.
Yeah, it's true.
Brand,
though I am hearing less. It is worth noting. I'm hearing less about Atlantic League expansion that I'm hearing from other leagues, which is interesting with a team that has sort of a pressing membership question mark coming here.
Yeah.
Because they have said that the Ghost Hounds will be rejoining the league. And I believe they've specifically said next year. That's, they need to find a solution there unless it is, which would be solved by a straight move 1-to-1. So I don't know. I don't think that's happening. I think they genuinely want that 12-team number for now.
Well, 12 is a nice number.
Yes, I agree. And I think it gives them the flexibility they're looking for. Would not be surprised if they go west with it to try to keep some sort of pod with the I don't know. Because there would still only be 3 teams in that. And then what are you going to do? Cut off one of the North Carolina teams from each other? It doesn't make sense. So maybe not.
I've seen more of a desire to move south than west.
True. Frederick attendance is holding solid, by the way, is one of the more solid attendance numbers in the draft league. I don't see it being viable to have both a draft league team and a Atlantic League team, but maybe they do. I don't know. I just think it's a bad
Keys move. Brand would have been better in that neighborhood to go to. There.
I agree, despite how good I think the Ghost Town.
I feel here's the thing: like the Ghost Town brand, I think, is the definition of a brand that appeals to the wider market than the local market.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. Spire City is a great little moniker, though. Shouldn't be lost. What I will call out is once again mentioning Trenton allegedly has almost 5,500 in attendance per game. I don't believe that to be true. I wouldn't be surprised if it was closer to half of that. But Trenton's going to catch a stray here. Though, hey man, I wouldn't put it past it for Trenton to come around and make a move. I always theorize Atlantic League wants Jersey again.
I mean, they absolutely do. I mean, that's the historical heartland. But at the same point in time, like, part of me still believes the letter thing that they sent out because it was very strongly worded, but that was right in the aftermath. So emotions run high. And there's only so many years at draft league you really want to do before you're like, it'd be nice to be a pro team again.
Agreed. And we see things tend to get a little desperate when the money starts to back off, which we're seeing already in the Pioneer.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that is interesting. I don't know that Mahoning Valley would make that move. I don't know that that's something that the Atlantic League would be interested in, frankly.
I don't think it really helps them out. I mean, how much of the footprint's that really in?
Right, it's out in Ohio, but Ohio is not far from the West Virginia contingency. West Virginia, and actually, it would shorten up the draft league quite a bit. Actually, it wouldn't be the worst news for them. It's just something to keep in mind that realistically, they're not that far out of the footprint.
I feel like Virginia makes a lot more sense somewhere over there.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. But there's really limited options over there. Though the Appalachian League does run through there.
It really is a damn shame that they never got Virginia Beach going.
No, man, I just saw something about that the other day.
The Neptunes. The logo was even cool.
Right? Damn, it's still 8 hours from Hunting Valley to Charleston. That's crazy. But to wrap that, I mean, State College, I think, is a potential move, though they have a complication. They use the college field. Trenton, we've already mentioned, they've publicly said they don't want to be in the Atlantic League. That was a few years back now.
Yeah,
West Virginia is an attendance black hole. Williamsport, I think, would be an interesting option. However, they have the complication of they do have the deal with MLB to share the ballpark for Little League Classic.
Yeah. Plus, there's no way you're going to be able to host anything when the Little League World Series is in town.
Yeah, and once again, casual reminder that it's interesting that Williamsport did not have good enough facilities for a minor league baseball team. However, MLB can come and play there. But that's a different conversation.
Well, it's only one game, right? We can make exceptions.
Certainly. I mean, what's an ACL? But we'll say if we're looking at it, I'm just going to do a quick once over before we move on because we have plenty of time for this kind of conversation moving forward here once we hit the off season. But I will just double check the footprint on it. I've always said Danville is such an interesting proposition, but their attendance really fell off. But they're in Virginia, south, like on the border of North Carolina. Burlington has had a long time relationship with the Atlantic League now. It's been 3 or 4 years since the Atlantic League literally hosted their league meeting at Burlington, in their ballpark. Their attendance this year was 1,700, not terrible, better than Danville, which was 1,400, which is holding consistent. Other than that, I don't see them going to Greenville. I don't see them going to Greenville. I don't see them going necessarily to Johnson City. I think Johnson City is interesting, but I think they have last I saw they would need an upgrade. Pulaski is interesting though. That's the Pulaski team. They have an interesting base of fans, but their attendance just doesn't hold up great. But it's not much worse than Frederick, if I'm honest. So I don't know, man. Interesting to see, but we'll deep dive that. Sorry. Thank you for letting me go on a tangent there.
And all of this started because I just wanted to, again, raise the point that the child died in the Southern Maryland ballpark, and it kind of didn't get much coverage outside the initial reporting. And now it's kind of fallen off the map. That kind of has fallen off the map, and we made a point to make sure it doesn't fall off the map because we got to keep this in the general consciousness.
Yeah. Whoops on that one. That's kind of let's get off topic there.
Oh, no, it's perfectly fine. I'm sure you see. Being that you don't do any of these Monday shows anymore, you need a place to talk about this kind of thing.
Shut
up. But yeah, so you can buy steak in the Oakland Ballers. That's the whole point of that segment. But
in summary,
they took out loans to do Ramundi. We still don't trust that organization. But if you do, you can spend $200 on being a partial owner of the team where really, you just got to say, I own a baseball team, which is kind of nice, I guess. But
yeah, sure. It's a flex. Fun Christmas gift.
Actually, it would be. Instead of naming a star after your kid, buy a mistake in a baseball team. Unlike this show, you know who stays on schedule?
Who would that be?
The American Association, because they scheduled an all-star game in Fargo, North Dakota.
Hot. Well, not literally, because it's Fargo, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. The 21st and 22nd of July next year. Same setup as always. They have the Hall of Fame luncheon, home run derby thing, and then the game itself the following day.
Should be a good
First
time.
All-Star game there in about 2 decades. So good for them.
Yeah, man. I don't have a lot to say. We've talked a bit about All-Star games. I talked about All-Star games on like my last podcast episode that I finally got recorded. But yeah, that's cool. I like Fargo being rewarded. I like the idea of like sort of throwing it toward organizations that have performed well and for the most part, represented well. So yeah, sure.
Good for
Hard
them.
hitting analysis.
I mean, it's an all-star game. There's nothing really hard hitting about it.
Except for the offense and home run derby. But a boo.
I don't know. Some of these guys, they get tossed in there and you're lucky. Like,
yeah, like, hey, we could have gone 4 on this one.
Yeah, it's just like,
don't need 8.
8 home runs, 55 games. I don't know. A guy that's on like a 14 home run pace here. I don't know about that.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, that's a
stretch.
A little bit.
But yes. In any case, what league do we want to go to first this week? Because we're talking playoff racing.
Yeah, we are. I'm kind of down for whatever, man. What are you feeling?
We could go Atlantic. I mean, they're the least the playoff races, so I mean, immediately contradict myself. But it's kind of interesting because High Point's fallen off of the map entirely. They're just like caving in on themselves.
Yeah, they're in danger of losing even the wild card.
Which begs the question: which collapse is worse, New York or High Point?
I mean, New York, but for New York though, it was kind of foreseeable because this is the difficult part of their, difficult part of their season schedule wise. We always knew the second half was going to be tougher for them, but like High Point, like they're, I don't know, they're playing some tough teams, but it's like they're really, on good weeks. I feel like they're treading water.
It's fair. I mean, like the problem with High Point is right now they have like 2 guys that are hitting, and they're not getting starting pitching. So
right
off the bat, you're going to be down 4 runs by the time you get out of the 4th inning, 5th inning. That's hard to make up in the back half of the game.
Yeah, and the trouble they're dealing with right now is their direct competition, while we always think it's Gastonia, is in this situation Charleston. And they're playing Charleston a lot. They've played them basically every other series through here. The issue for High Point right now is they've gone Gastonia and then Charleston, and then Gastonia again, and then Charleston again, Gastonia again, Charleston again, Gastonia again. So they are constantly playing like that. Meanwhile, Charleston has gotten rid of, they played a lot of Gastonia in the first half. They are really playing Lexington and Southern Maryland for the past couple of weeks. So in their non-High Point series, they're playing far more comfortable games. They are dropping a couple here and there, but like they're not burning pitching the way like High Point and Gastonia, where they're constantly going to like right down to the wire 1-run games. Like played another 1-run game between the 2 of them this week. Like,
in essence, they're not playing High Point, they're picking up half games on High Point, sometimes full games.
That, and even if they're keeping pace, it's just taking more. It's taking more high leverage innings. It's wearing the bullpen. They're already kind of thin right now. It's like, that's a difficult one right there. That's High Point got hosed on schedule a little bit, but I mean, also it kind of comes out in the wash. They do play a lot of games against Gastonia. They play more against Gastonia than everyone else, and Charleston plays more against Lexington than everyone else. It's hard to ignore that. And I mean, this is again been my grievance with the Atlantic League is they treat scheduling like, well, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, buddy, talk to High Point about it. Like High Point is a team that has mixed results success wise, like off the field.
Ryan, they had Johns Hopkins make the schedule.
But I don't know what they did. Well, we talked about this. We suspect we know what they did, which is they did Johns Hopkins, but they kind of had a question mark in there about who the other team was going to be, and then placeholders and some weirdness, and it probably just didn't work out. That's my theory on the case, being somewhat familiar with how the Johns Hopkins sort of scheduling works. But man, that's a tough scene for them. But you play schedule in front of you, and they are losing to Charleston. So it's like, what are we going to say? Like, Charleston's beating them right now.
When you run through the gauntlet and you're not doing well, it really goes poor.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is.
I mean, like it's very real that they lose the wild card by the time that this episode comes up.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And that'd be, I mean, a plot twist on things, but not fully. I mean, we kind of saw what Charleston was capable of early.
Exactly. Like the question mark around them was really can they rebound from losing, like a third of their team. And it was a little bit rocky in the beginning, and then they started to figure out a little bit towards the end of the first half, and then really the beginning part of the second half, they started to really come together, and now they've been on a run since. I mean, they lost like what, 2 guys since, plus now Keon. So
yeah,
which
I mean,
which Keon is a big loss. Don't get me wrong.
right,
He's an MVP candidate.
right.
But because I feel like it's either him or Donovan Casey at this point. I understand they're both gone from the league, but like, come on. They played enough and they're up there high enough where they deserve this.
You're right. Yeah.
But even still, regardless of that, I don't know. It feels like Charleston can't really be stopped. It feels like High Point can't really do too much right at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bad mix there. And I mean, like, Estonia's also fighting themselves. They're coming into form.
Yes. Yeah, they are. I kind of didn't. There's a reason I didn't really drop them in my rankings much while they were sort of going through the weird little in between stage there. I do think it's a team that is built for and looking forward to the playoffs. I mean, they already clinched their spot, and that is their expectation. That has been the expectation since day one. They didn't make the playoffs year one. This new sort of Brady Salisbury regime, for lack of a better term, made the playoffs, made the championship. Now they seem to be looking toward winning the championship step by step.
Isn't that funny that a lot of the younger guys that are running these teams, their teams are doing well?
And something.
It sure is different, ain't it?
I mean, it's just, the young up-and-comers and Pat Scalabrini. Tearing it up.
Oceans will form and dry up. Mountains crumble. All that remains is a 60-win Quebec team.
Yeah, honestly, it's inevitable.
Run from it. Hi.
Why bother?
Comes all the same.
Yep.
Speaking of coming all the same, Long Island.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Phrasing. Are we not doing phrasing anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Show me those 30 ducks.
Long Island, man, they're right there. I'm just checking the updated standings here.
Yeah, 3 games back, I believe.
So 3 back of, and really
big eye emoji vibes.
Yes, 3 back.
Plus, they maintain the belt.
Yes, they are, much to Mike Pfaff's appreciation. Also, I do think that part of that's owed to me. Staten Island was marking Long Island in the season and all the way up until a game where they were like pumping like a 10-run lead in the second inning on them in a day game. I was like, damn, this feels like a changing of the guard. And then since then, Long Island almost won that game and then has since like ripped off a ton of wins on Staten Island. I was like, oop, that's me. My bad.
Well, it also didn't help that they lost pretty much every player that's worth a damn on their team.
Right. Long Island.
Nate Scantlin, of course.
Long Island here down the stretch has, so they are 3 games back right now of Lancaster. They have 6 games against 7 games against Lancaster coming up. They have 3 against York. They have every opportunity to bury these teams. Those aren't going to be easy games.
2 or 3 from York, 4 or 6 from Lancaster.
Possible, man. And
catches you up on 2, catches you up on 1.
The chaos that would rip open is hard to describe because we're assuming, all right, now if Charleston, going back to the South real quick, is up 3.5 on Gastonia, I feel like that's not safe. They have enough games against real teams. They've just lost some people, but that is more comfortable. The thing to watch here is if Lancaster slips back and falls to York, that opens a wild card spot currently being led by High Point at half game back. Then you got Charleston a half game behind them, or High Point leads by a half game over Charleston and Lancaster, who are tied. Then it's 4.5 to Long Island. If Long Island sneaks in there, that shuts off the wild card to everybody, and we're back to chaos. So or lack of chaos, I guess the case may be.
Mm.
But it is sort of a very fluid situation playoff wise now.
Mm. And Long Island's what, 5 back of the wild card?
Long Island is 4. Hold on, let me see. Clicking over, I got them at 4.5.
4.5. Okay. I mean,
4.5 out of the wild card, 3 out of the division, but all that is well within reach because not only so again they're trailing Lancaster, who they have the 7 games against. Then also in there is Charleston, who is tied with Lancaster. They play Charleston 3 times so for the end of the season, and then it's High Point meeting, and they finish the season with 6 with High Point.
Oh God, they could really
the smoke involved in that series, where High Point could be battling both to keep Long Island from winning the division and to keep a handle of that wild card spot. It could be electric. It could be a really good end here.
Dude, I would hate to be guys to do playoff predictions here.
Meanwhile, Charleston has 6 against Gastonia to wrap the season, by the way. So let's not sleep on that. Their last 9 are Long Island and Gastonia for 6. Yeah, dude, this ain't over at all. The Atlantic League playoff race is great.
I would love to see what the projection numbers are for that.
I'm hoping to have it tomorrow, honestly.
Like you being productive, being on top of things.
Yeah, I had to rebuild the whole thing because I'm dumb, but I think I got to rebuild, so I should just be able to. I'm waiting on results to finish up for the night.
Fair enough.
What do you think?
Other point in the Atlantic League here. Do we know what Diaz got suspended for?
No, I could probably check. Honestly.
Okay, because I saw I got a 2-game suspension. I didn't know, so.
I mean, usually it's sort of umpire related, right?
I figured that'd be the case. I figured yelled the wrong guy.
I'll check in. We'll do this quick. We can do a quick one on this. Lightning round style here. Let's see. High Point, right? Going over to their schedule. High Point has, let's see, how many games do we think High Point will win here? We've got 3 against Southern Maryland this weekend.
Okay.
I think they take 2 there.
That could be a sweep, yeah.
All right. We'll call 2.5.
I'll give you 2 on it.
Okay. Gastonia for 4. I think they split that. They're even, and they just took 2 out of 3 from
I was thinking just 1. They have a hard time closing them out.
Yeah, they did just also get swept by them last time. So
yeah, I think we got 1, and I think Sardi 2.
Okay, so 1. Charleston for 4. Charleston's took 3 out of 4 from them. I like Charleston to potentially take 3 out of 4 again, coming off a Gastonia series, a long Gastonia series, 4 games in 3 days, and then 4 games in 3 days against Charleston. I think
true, but if they're getting lit up, then they can go ahead and just throw someone to the wolves and regroup.
True, but they do play Gastonia close.
It's true.
And also Charleston play pretty close typically.
I'm thinking probably just 1 then. Probably 1.
Ooh, all right, yeah. And then Lexington for 6. Let's see. Money
5
time.
at least.
5. And then Long Island for 6.
That could be see a 3 and a 3.
I think so. All right.
So that'd be what? 12
wins there. All right, we'll worry about that in a sec. Let's see what Charleston's got going on schedule-wise. We'll be able to run it quick. Right. We already said here, Charleston got 3 against Staten Island. Charleston plays 3 against Staten Island to start this thing.
Oh, okay, they're going to get 3 there, and then they're going to get the 3 from Staten Island.
I think they drop 1 along the way there. I don't know which.
Maybe if Capuano
Charleston has a tendency to lose a funny game. That's all.
I think it depends on who's on the mound.
I think we just say they somewhere in there they lose 1, so give them 5 out of 6.
That's fine. I'll give you that.
We already said they take 3 off High Point.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant earlier. Yeah.
Hagerstown. Do we think they take 3 on Hagerstown?
Yes.
They beat the P out of Hagerstown at one point this year, if I remember right. Long Island, again, 2 out of 3 from Long Island.
That was a little bit tougher. I could see them having an off series.
Charleston.
Even still, I could see them having an off series here. I understand they're coming off Hagerstown, so you're going to have a real chance to regroup and line everybody up. But if the Ducks are playing for their life, I could see them stealing 2.
All right, we'll go 1 there, and then 6 with Gastonia. I see them taking 4 with Gastonia not wanting to go hard on the last week of the season. not throw in their best relievers. That's the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, Gastoni's already in, so they really don't have an incentive, do they?
That was my entire thought there.
Yeah. As long
I'm
as
caught
you're not trying to
between
get
3 and
somebody
4
work,
is my problem.
Yeah, I'd say yeah.
I'll
probably.
go. I don't know. Yeah, okay. I'm okay with it. So that's 9, 11, 12, 16 for them. Yikes. And then Gastonia for clarification here. We got. Dun, dun, dun. We already talked about a lot of their games, frankly. We got Gastonia for 3 against Lexington. That feels like 3.
Yeah.
And then we said they take 3 versus High Point.
Believe so, yeah.
Yeah. And then they got Hagerstown for 4.
That's 4.
Yeah. Well, so far we don't have them losing a game. No, we have them losing 1.
Yeah,
then
I mean, like maybe they drop 1 to Lexington, but
I mean they have 6 against Southern Maryland. What do we say, 4? Southern Maryland taking 2 of them. It's a big ask, but that gives us cushion on losing a random one in the last stretch. That was my thought.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's more of a hedge on the first couple series. And we already said 2 with Charleston. So that gives them 6, 10, 14, 16 as well. So yeah, that would put Charleston as our winner in the South because they would hold steady with Gastonia and Charleston, and High Point would drop 4 games off of them.
The only thing I could possibly see changing things up there, if they're in a position going into that last 6-game set for each of them, what does the standing look like then? If it goes the way we said it.
That would be,
because I'm just thinking that if Charleston's in a position where they need to win a few, but they don't have to win, that many, I could see a world in which like the last 2 or 3 are just more or less hiding people.
I don't know. I think it's going to be tight. I think we have them going into that series 1.5 games over Gastonia. I don't know where the missing game is. By the way, I got to figure that one out at some point. But
yeah, here's the thing though: if Gastonia's already in, then we already established there won't be at like top compete level here. They'll definitely be lining guys up and hiding certain people as much as you can in this league. I mean, if you're Charleston, you know that going in, last couple of games, you're probably going to do the same thing, though.
Yeah, maybe, but still, they would only do that if it didn't affect standing. So that's why I'm not too caught up in the thought there. Because if it just means Charleston wins the division, Gastonia wins the division, that's the only way that Charleston's hiding people and not going hard. And that wouldn't affect the playoffs at all. Like, as in the wild card. You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying, yeah.
So, the quick math. Whew, that's a lot of wins. That puts Gastonia at 85, by the way.
Damn.
Yeah. And then, all right. So, all right, let's do the North real quick. We can rip that, and then we'll move on. Just curious what we got here. All right, let's go. We'll start with Long Island.
Okay.
The Duckaroos.
The Duckaroonies.
Never gonna bring that around. I don't know. All right, 3 with Lancaster.
That's a tight one.
In Lancaster.
I think 1. I think Lancaster plays them hard.
Yeah. Then 3 at York.
I think again 1. I think Lancaster is going to take a lot out of them, and I think they're going to go harder against Lancaster than York.
And then 4 with Lancaster again now at home.
I mean, they got to batten it down and get 2 there.
Right.
I think they can find a way for 2, yeah.
And then wait, there's more back to Lancaster for 3. It's so bad.
What kind of scheduling is this? Just do 6 and then York and then home.
I don't know, dude. What are we talking about?
God, just keep the reservation.
1 feels so bad.
It does. Like, here's the thing, but it's plausible, right? Like, it's absolutely plausible that now you're not hiding anybody at this point. You're not really saving anybody.
For what it's worth, Long Island has won their last 2 series against York and their last series against Lancaster. Actually, the last 2 against Lancaster.
Yeah, but this is a lot of Lancaster.
It's a lot of Lancaster.
You can only dodge the Reaper for so long. 1. It's a very reluctant one. I think there's going to be a lot of close losses in there, but that doesn't mean anything. So
Right. We got plus they got the Devil Magic second half Stormers going on.
exactly.
The 3 with Charleston, I think we gave Charleston one of those, so it's 2. And then the 6 with High Point, we gave a split to. That's all right. So it's 10 there. All right, York on the lightning round here. York's up. Let's go with. Boop, 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 boop. All right. All right. We got York and Hagerstown for 3.
Sweep.
Yeah, York beats the hell out of them. We already gave York 2 against Long Island, and then they go to They host Staten Island for 4. Is that 3?
3. Yeah, Staten Island's going to have to steal 1 and make them sweat for another one, but York will take 3.
Flipping back to Staten Island for the next 3.
2 of 3.
Okay. And then home against home against Lancaster for 3. I could see them. Oh, wait. Yeah, I could see them dropping
2.
Potentially 2 of those.
I think they dropped 2 there. I think it's a lot.
Yeah, that's 1
after all this. You're beating up on piss poor opponents. It's still going to take something after a while.
Then they got 3 with Staten Island, 3 with Hagerstown. I feel like they take 2 out of both. I feel like Hagerstown catches them sort of taking it easy the last series of the year, and Staten Island finds 1 in York.
I was about to say, when are we getting to the last series here?
Yeah, there you go. So that's last week of Staten Island and Hagerstown. I could see them take 4, maybe 3, but I'll go 4.
I'm going to say 3, honestly, because I think they're really going to spend a lot of time just setting things up.
True.
And then trying to get that deeper part of the bullpen some work, deeper part of the bench some work, so that way they're not totally cold going into it in case they need them.
And just about this whole Lancaster schedule is almost figured out here. So we got 3 with Long Island. We have them taking 2. We have them going to Staten Island. I think, what do they take, 2 from Staten Island?
I believe so.
Cool. Then back to Long Island. We had them splitting that one for 2 out of 4. And then taking 2 out of 3 from Long Island. And then taking 2 out of 3 from York. And then it's 3 with Hagerstown, 3 with Staten Island for the last one. I think they take 4 or 5. Staten Island just 2 out of 3 off of them.
The question, though, is like, again,
Lancaster just swept Hagerstown. I feel like they sweep Hagerstown and take 2 out of 3 from Staten Island.
I would agree with that, but I want to know, like, how secure they are in the playoff spot at that point, right? Because I think they're very secure or pretty secure. Then I can see them only taking, like, maybe 4 of those games just because they'll be setting it up more.
Yeah. At this point, we would have them leading. Hold on. I don't think it's secure, honestly.
No?
Yeah, at this point, we'd have them back a half game on York.
Yeah, no, then they'll take 5.
Yeah, so.
If they have to fight for it, then they'll take 5.
Yeah, agreed. So that means no wild card. And we have Lancaster getting in by a game and a half over York. And Charleston getting in by a game and a half over Gastonia. That's not the right math. I think it's by a game probably on both.
Okay.
It's by a game on both. Okay. So there we go. That's it. That's the official prediction of the podcast.
All right.
Good. Look at us. That actually worked out. Good.
Only other thing I just want to mention here on the Atlantic League, and then we'll move on. And I feel like we did a good job with the Atlantic League this week. We've kind of thrown them off to the side the last few weeks, but
agreed.
Olsen, Bremer, and Capuano, all possible Triple Crown guys.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to get it because there's too many contenders for it, but it would be nice to see. It'd be kind of cool. Which begs the question, if you get the pitching Triple Crown, does that make you a league MVP? Like, I'll admit Capuano's kind of out of it for the ERA portion of this.
Yeah, I think so. He's back down to a 4.5.
Yeah.
But Olsen's right there.
Yeah, plus you have to make up 18 Ks, which is tight. But Olsen, I think,
Olsen
really
needs a win.
Yeah, one win gets
and 6 breakouts. Boy, Hollow strikes a lot of dudes.
Yeah,
we don't talk about him enough. His stuff is nasty. He just needs to. I think they just ask a lot of him.
That can win, yeah.
Right. I'll check into it. I feel like he gives up a lot of right before he gets pulled runs. If my memory serves me, I could be way off on that. Could just be like some
one batter too many.
Bias. Yeah, which you'll see happen on a thinner pitching team. Like, yeah. Look at his last couple starts where he got touched. 6. Yeah, I mean, he tends to give one up in like the 5th. That's interesting, but he usually goes like 6 or so innings. So yeah,
so
not
like
necessarily.
He's Mets era Zach Wheeler. He's go through 5 in the 6th, and he kills him.
Well, honestly, it's the 5th inning kills him, and he goes scoreless in the 6th, and he's out. I don't know what the deal is there, but I saw it 3 times in a row.
But yeah, Bremer, if Lancaster wants to cheese him, they could get him up there. It would take some help, but I mean, he's a few too many wins back. Olson's by far the strongest contender for it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'll also just mention real quick, circling back one more time, Charleston and Gastonia and Lancaster and York would be an extremely fun playoff.
It would. It really.
Like intriguing on every end. Anyway,
it would be. Yeah. Yeah. On that note,
anything else in the Atlantic League?
I think we're good. I was about to say, on that note, we could go to the American Association.
All right, let's do this.
I feel like the obvious thing we gotta mention, because I mean the East Division is pretty well set. We have a good idea of the 4 playoff teams there. Cleburne's locked in that 1 spot. Lake Country may position themselves into the 2 or 3 spot, but I think they're going to be pretty well set at the 4. And then Kane and Chicago are duking it out there. But let's be real, it doesn't really matter. Once you win the division, that's really the only important thing here.
Yeah.
So that being said, also good on Lake Country, 8-2 in the last 10. Not great losing to Gary, but hey, that's life in the city. Cleburne continuing to look legitimate, but there's something about them that I'm still like, again, that opening series lives too much in my mind. It shouldn't. I understand that's a bad bias to have, and I understand all the flaws with it, but it still is there.
Hard to forget it.
Yeah.
It made an impact.
Exactly. But that, and also the Dogs are playing good too, but which is a team we haven't talked that much about this year. But same thing with Kane too. They've just kind of been like steadily doing their thing. But,
yeah. I will say I'm not sold on how put to bed the East is. I think the West is done. I think Sioux City buried Kansas City this week. It was really impressive.
That's the division we
can talk about. Yeah. All right. Do you want to talk to that, and then we'll circle back on the East?
No. Let's finish East talk. Let's finish East talk, and then we'll get into the West.
So the point of interest I have here is Lake Country goes Chicago to Kane County.
Okay.
Milwaukee goes Gary to Chicago. Then they close with 4 against each other, Lake Country and Milwaukee, and they have a 3-game difference between them. I do not feel that is over. I think it's highly likely.
Counterpoint, Milwaukee is not a good team.
Milwaukee's not a good team, but I still feel like there's a good chance they come in 2 games back of Lake Country, and Lake Country defecates the bet.
I think they can lose to Gary, though. I think they're going to lose at least 1, probably 2. I'm saying there's at least a possibility here. I think. See, I don't even think there's that much. I really don't have any faith in Milwaukee this year.
I don't have a lot of faith in Lake Country against Kane County and Chicago. I think they might come
can
out
do well enough to
3
split.
wins.
I think they can. Yeah,
okay, that's right.
I think that's good enough. I don't think they're going to do well. I got to be honest with you. I don't think Milwaukee's going to do well against Gary.
Gary just broke a 9-game losing streak.
But who's counting?
Easy there. Easy there.
I mean, like, their offense right now is like what? Willie Scala?
Yeah, but I mean, what is Gary's pitching?
Oh, there's also Roy Morales who's doing well. Scala's not doing all that great. It's Ostberg, really. That's the guy. But yeah, there's just no depth in that lineup.
Yeah,
the pitching's meant to be doing better, but I mean, I don't know. Pitching looks back is Chris Young, it is Chris. Yeah, Christian Young. He had 2 good starts, but only goes 6 innings. So, like, okay, cool. The entire thing with them is like, if you can get to them before the 6th, you're going to light them up.
Yes, you're right. That's very true.
Yeah, Behringer, he got through 6, but I mean, I think this was a case of, and I'd have to look it up, but it feels like this was a case of, you're going to eat this one, buddy.
Yeah, it's possible.
Not I mean, you have a 5 through 5, but the 5th inning was the bad one. So, couple wild pitches, and then a sac fly, and then a 3-run shot by GM Brown, who has been released, I think I saw.
Oh, did I miss that?
Yeah, they released him on the 19th.
Weird.
Admitting defeat.
Yeah, man. That's a bigger conversation, man.
I don't know why this got overlooked, because that was the same time that Chicago released Augie Voigt.
Yeah, right. That's tough.
Baseball
I hate that
trade,
Augie,
ladies and gentlemen.
I like him.
I know, but it was a baseball trade. Baseball trade.
Not because Chicago is the most toxic organization.
Gym teacher from Glee. But yes, any case, back to arguing over Milwaukee and Gary.
If you're Kansas City and you roll in a playoff spot with a 1-game lead over a team for the last playoff spot that you're about to play 5 times, you, under no circumstances, can get pumped 5 games in a row by that team, including a 9-0 banger ahead of a 1-0 game and a 15-3 loss. You can certainly not score 5 runs across the last 4 games of that set. That's unacceptable. Can't have that. That's an interesting front office and organization to watch this offseason, because more and more is saying that is a garbage fire over there. And if they can't put that thing out, I mean, we thought this was a rebuild year. This is looking like a
tear it down here.
Trend. This is looking like the potential start of a trend, man. I mean, they're uncompetitive. I went back and I did check out. I didn't get to see many games this week because it was just a chaotic week, but I did go check out the 1-0 game last night because I wanted to check out the pitching a little bit, just because you don't see many games where it's 2 hits and a win. So I just sort of flipped through it. But like, even the bats were just non-competitive. It looked like they checked out after losing those first 3. They're like, well, okay. I don't know if that's the case. You say that everyone's worried about their own stats, but it's late in the year, man. I don't know. What I'm saying is the 1-0 game didn't even look close.
I guess.
And it went to extras. Like,
everyone since the division's going to get a cakewalk in round 1.
Maybe.
I mean, like, are we really going to sit here and pretend like Sioux City is a serious contender?
If Sioux City so they got Lincoln now, I assume they're going to put up some numbers. If they end up putting up a couple good series against Sioux Falls and Cleburne, I might be able to be like, hey, like, hold on, just hot at the right time type of conversation. That's all. I'm not saying like, oh, they're actually like a really good team. I'm just saying.
Here's the thing.
See, every year someone gets hot and makes a run.
Fair, but here's the counter to that. Cleburne at this point has 0 to play for, so they're more concerned about resting guys and setting up matchups.
Yep.
Sioux Falls just is a paper tiger, so I have no respect. No, I should say I have no respect. I don't respect them as a true competitor here.
Okay.
I still believe Winnipeg is far and away the best team in this division. And I don't think it's particularly close.
Okay.
And that comes from someone that doesn't believe in pitching can win you a championship.
I know.
I genuinely think their pitching is good enough to keep them around for a while. Because Madalovich is getting the hill in any meaningful game. You'd assume Lampson's going to be the second guy going through.
Mm-hmm.
Seabrook looks like he's back to starting again, which is a good decision. That's a solid 1, 2, 3. If Barasa can just give you one good start, like left-right thing where one good start, one okay start, then you got your 4 pitchers that you're going to run with. And if Barasa can't do that, then hey, if he can get you through the first like 1.5 times through, you can make it a modified bullpen thing. And that's not even considering the fact that I didn't mention the former major leaguer here who's been up and down in Reiniger.
Right.
I think by far the
Winnipeg does have barely, but they do have a winning record against Sioux Falls this year. They're 7-6.
Yeah, but how many of those games were from when Sioux Falls was unreasonably hot?
Honestly, not many. They kind of, for whatever reason, avoided, like, just by chance, they ended up not really in that stretch. But
I mean, that's fair to just the point of the birdcage kind of neutralizes good pitching.
Not for Sioux Falls this year, though. Weird thing.
I mean, you know how to pitch.
Sioux Falls pitching has game results. Yeah, okay, fair. I'll give you that. I'm not going to sit here and back up Sioux Falls that hard. I'm just doing a quick check on how they are against other playoff teams at this point, at least in their own division.
Yeah, it just like I look at this and I go, there's enough people here where it's like, yeah, I feel comfortable saying Winnipeg's coming out of this. And like, I just don't trust a Sioux Falls team. Oh, yeah. Here's the other thing.
14 and 15, by the way, against teams in their division. They're scheduled to make the playoffs.
You see what Winnipeg's got the rest of the way home?
What?
3 on the road in Kansas City. Then they play the last 6 at home, last 7 at home against Gary and Lincoln.
Yeah, there's that.
The only difficult part here is there's no off day for them between the Kansas City trip to Gary. That's the only difficult part. And also you got back-to-back 1 o'clock games on that Sunday, Monday to end the year. But like, hey. I'm sorry. Like, this is... We should not pretend here like this is a lot closer than it really is. Like, yeah, getting swept by Sioux City, bad luck, boys. Not good. But those games were far from blowouts. And the Fargo series, again, same boat. They lost 2-1 run games. I'm not losing sleep over that.
I guess I'm going to build your theory here. If you remove their games against Gary and Lincoln, Sioux Falls is 34 and 36. I'm sure there's a lot of teams you'd say that kind of thing for.
Interesting enough, last year with Empire State, you couldn't really do that. Like, they were bad, don't get me wrong. But they weren't that much worse. It was like, if you're playing with a real team, it was like 1 or 2 wins off. It wasn't that crazy.
Well, it was. Honestly, I looked back at it today and it was the worst than I remembered, but we'll see. I mean, there is the fact that Winnipeg traded sweeps with Gary at one point this year, which is kind of weird.
True, but yeah, I'm also just looking, like, offensively speaking, not much there for Sioux Falls. I gotta be honest. Like, I was expecting this to be a lot more than it really is here. Like, Raywald's good, Hart's good, Clannon's good, and Ordonez is good. Everybody else is like solid, but not great.
Winnipeg, if you take their Lincoln and Gary games away, are 42 and 35.
Okay.
Mainly because they've underachieved against Lincoln and Gary. Very weird.
Also, Veen's not getting enough talk when you get down to it. Really good strikeout to walk ratio. About 2-1.
Should we move this thing along, since American Association is kind of the one where the races are the least interesting, and we do.
Oh, of course they are, because everything's already set up. Because only 2 teams don't make it per division, and those 2 teams are already dog shit. So
that's one way to say it.
Oh, look, I'm not mincing words. Fix your playoff system.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, I'll give you that.
If we're gonna do this bullshit where you pick your opponent, at least do interdivision picking.
There you go.
At least makes it somewhat interesting. But yeah, only other point is top 3 for also Matalovich actually is a legitimate shot at the Triple Crown in this league too. Make it 2 here.
Yeah, let me see. That 2.15 ERA. Damn, man.
Yeah, good. I'm amazed he didn't get picked up.
I know.
2.15. He's got 28 strikeout cushion, and he just needs a whip.
Strikeouts. Yeah.
He needs to just get one more win than Colbreth does. It's tied right now.
Yeah.
Guy's only 27 too. I'm sorry, he deserves a shot.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Switch hitter too. Sorry, I love throwing that out there for pitchers.
Really. Yeah, I mean, like, what? He had one bad start all year, two bad starts all year.
Yeah, something like that. Not bad.
Pretty damn good. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 starts where he allowed 4 or more runs, only one of 5 or more, and that was against Lincoln?
Lincoln. Told you, Winnipeg is like weirdly bad against Lincoln and Gary.
Playing down, that's the problem. But yeah, Matalovich absolutely has a really good shot at being a Triple Crown winner, which at that point, MVP conversation.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, other guys I'm going to put in there for right now, I would say Teeter, Hernandez, and O'Grady. Those are really the only 3 that I think could reasonably be put in that conversation.
It's fair. I'm just doing a quick math check on one thing here.
Yeah, because
I always like to do the math on if I take your one worst start. Because I like to say, like, there's going to be a blow up start somewhere. It might not even be your fault. Yeah. If you take that, if you have more than one, well, you got to wear some of those. But like, take that one, it starts to be a little bit more interesting, even. But anyway.
Yeah.
Dude, it's
going
good.
into August, he had a 196.
That'll play. Hey, that'll play.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Oh, God, and the whip below 1. Beautiful. God, it's just
like well below. Like going lower.
Does he get it below 8.3? Can he get it into the 7s?
I mean, it's been there recently. The 7s will be a reach, but
no, I mean, here's the thing too. Like,
his last start was 9 strikeouts, 0 walks, 6 hits.
He's not like what 3 times, 4 times?
Yeah, that's wild.
Crazy. 10 Ks, 2 walks. Yeah, no, 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 4 of these where he had 9 Ks and no walks. 5, 6. I count 7 starts without a walk, and he hasn't walked more than 3 in a game. My God, if you could just take out, not even the Lincoln start because he gets a win there. If you take out the loss against Sioux City on July 3rd, that whip is going to be crazy low.
All right, I'm just checking one thing on him. I want to see. I'm trying to just do the quick math on what his FIP is right now, because it's got to be silly.
I like that because I'm not going to know what the hell that means. So
I love that from you. Fielding independent pitching. So basically, it's just what his ERA kind of would look like, or what his numbers look like if you only go by like home runs, walks, hit by pitch, strikeouts.
Yeah. What's crazy is he got lit the hell up in Wisconsin, high A from Milwaukee.
That's weird.
Yeah.
3.86 FIP, pretty good. Not amazing, but the number is a little elevated for American League pitching, American Association pitching. It's a whole other conversation, but about how American Association pitching has been. Anyway, what league should we head toward next?
Let's say Frontier.
All right. Frontier's got a more complicated playoff situation, but I mapped it out because they're, well, not really more complicated. It's mostly that their schedule's a disaster, so it's hard to read online.
Yes, that's exactly it. Fixed. It used to be so good too.
I know. I got what we need here on my notepad. So whenever it kind of comes, we'll run our little very scientific simulation.
The good news is the West is pretty much settled. Gateway's really hot. Washington's pretty hot too. The only thing that could be in flux is if Washington hits a little bit of a snag and Gateway stays hot, they could make up some ground. But they're up 6 games on Gateway for the division, so I'd assume Washington wins. Gateway's going to host the.
They do play each other for 3, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't think that's going to move the needle that much. Right. Gateway should host that wild card, and it looks like there could be something interesting with that last spot. Lake Erie's up 2.5, so maybe teams are trending there. Schaumburg's the only team that can really catch them at this point. Florence just,
I keep Florence just because I'm proud of them at this point. But they have lost 5 in a row. Womp womp.
Yep. Evansville's looking better though. Good for them.
Yeah.
Chris needed that.
I'm glad they got together because it was kind of a bummer seeing them like make that nice push and then immediately fall off. I was like, damn, dude. All right.
We'll ignore Windy City that we were pumping up earlier.
Oh, yeah, man.
We're going to pretend we didn't gas them up.
Aging like milk, for sure.
I still believe.
Someone has to.
They wouldn't be that far back in the East.
Oh, my God.
But yeah, so the West, good for them. They probably have the best 1-2 punch. Because then we go over into the East. And, like, I still believe in Quebec because, well, they've been there and they've done it so many times that, like, you can't really bet against them.
Right.
That being said, man, the Boulders, that's a tough scene. 3-7. One.
Yeah.
Collapsing.
Giving it right back to Tri-City.
Yeah.
Who again goes on another streak, winning streaks and losing streaks for that team. It's very weird.
I mean, it helps me play New Jersey.
True, but they managed to get swept by the knockouts at one point. So who's to say what it means who they're playing?
Fair enough.
Very odd. Just a weirdly inconsistent team.
Yeah, like here's the thing with the Frontier. I want to talk about it a lot more, but it's like I don't have any faith in Rockland right now to pull it out. Right? Like the Boulders do not have. They don't really have it right now. Like, what's their schedule the rest of the way? I know they have Quebec. I think they have New England, and who's the other one? I think Ottawa.
Sorry, who does?
New York.
Boulders have Quebec, Ottawa, New England. Yeah.
Oh, anyway, I have no faith in that. I mean, you got 2 teams that are in front of you and 1 team that's a joke. So, like,
right.
Like maybe Quebec says we have nothing to play for because we clinched the division. So like we're gonna set things up now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But Ottawa very much is something to play for. And like they're not that's just like it helps to beat them obviously for getting the win, and also you do gain ground on them. And let's be real. 1 game can change everything. Ottawa loses 1. Tri-City wins 1. They reverse places. But even still, like a Tri-City series is really what they need, and they kind of blew that last one.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's really hard to feel like they're in this when they can't win the series they have to win.
Mm-hmm.
And in the flip side here, it feels like the real race is who's hosting this wild card game. Is it going to be Ottawa or is it going to be Tri-City?
Right. Yeah, it's going to be a close one, man. I've got... Oof. I mean, I literally, the way I worked it out, like I kind of did what we did with the Atlantic League schedule-wise, and I came out with 54 wins for both Ottawa and Tri-City.
That's just running out of road. New York has to pretty much sweep the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, which they won't. I think they take maybe 4 the rest of the way.
I mean, even you say they sweep New England.
Yeah, which
it has to.
New England. I feel like there's always that feels like a series. Not that it matters, but it's just an interesting note where when a team falls apart down the stretch. I feel like a lot of time when they then close with some team that's below them, they just absolutely get whipped up on by them. Like I could see New England sweeping that.
I don't think it'll be that bad. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think they lose 1, but
I had them taking 2 out of 3, but I could see a world where that happens. And I think, unfortunately, again, honor to be nominated. I think Trois-Rivières ends up around 47 wins. So I do think Ottawa Tri-City. I don't know who has a tiebreaker there. Here's the one I want to know. I'm going to look something up while we talk here.
Yeah, like that's the thing. I want to hype up this playoff race a bit more, but it does feel over.
Yeah, the different trajectories between New York and Tri-City kind of put a damper on things.
Yeah, it's not even like Ottawa's slacking off either. Same amount of wins in the last 10, just not without the gaudy win streak. And
Right.
realistically
Like the
here,
rest.
like the Quebec series isn't going to be good to New York this weekend.
Mhm.
And so you figure, okay, that's going to go poorly. And then they have Ottawa. So it really could be a 1-2 punch and then they're done.
Right. I agree with that.
And then that just makes the New England series academic at that point.
Ottawa, Quebec is a back-to-back you look to survive, and they need to do more than survive in those. And I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, they put themselves in a really bad spot. That's what happened. And it's a disappointing year if you're New York because you saw the potential early on. And even as the schedule started to get a little bit more difficult, they were hanging in there. But it just it fell apart. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. Over the course of about a month, we went from, New York's pretty much certain to host a wild card game to they're not making the playoffs.
Yeah. Life comes at you fast.
Yeah. And honestly, props to the Tri-City for doing that because we were writing them off. And they didn't write back.
They did not.
They've really rebounded, really came out strong, and they've gotten the better side of their streaks. So good for them for doing that.
Yeah, I will point out here. So the thing that interests me the most is looking at potential playoff matchups. Ottawa and Quebec. Quebec has won 8 of 9 so far. They still have a couple games. They have 3 left with them, but they have been all over Ottawa so far. However, they lost their last series to Tri-City. The series before that, they got swept by Tri-City, and then they did sweep them in the series before that. All in all, they're 5-7 against the Valley Cats so far this year. Quebec is now, of course, that first half. But only 3 of those games happened before they got good. So pull those out, and you still have a 4-5 record against Tri-City for the between the two of them, including losing 5 out of the last 6 to Tri-City. So that's definitely something to watch if you're a Quebec fan.
Yeah.
Or if you're Tri-City.
Then you also have the fact of, September Quebec.
Different animal.
Exactly. Yeah. And we saw last year in the final against Evansville, how many times did Evansville have them dead to right?
Same with New Jersey, man. Happened to them too.
It's a tough team to stay out. They don't stay down.
And Tri-City is also, Quebec has now won 9 series in a row, by the way. Which ain't nothing. It depends on your mentality. If you're a team that does approach series to series, not game to game, like trying to take 2 out of 3, that is a good sign for a playoff run. Including 2 rubber match wins last 2 series. But anyway.
It's feeling like we're going to have matchups to preview next week.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It'll be good.
All right.
Leah, I'm kind of running out of steam, so let's get to the Pioneer.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Heading on over.
So
this is a mess. Pioneer League's still a mess.
Here's the thing. I said Boise slander earlier, and I stand by it. I think they're a good team still, but guys, we got to stop falling apart in the last third of the half. You did the last half. We're doing it again here, boys. Let's get it together. You can't lose 6 in a row. You're pissing away the lead. Although, for as much as we want to hype up Oakland, YOLO's just cruising up along out of nowhere.
Dude, they're gaining, man. It's crazy. They're now tied with Oakland. Well, I don't know if that's up to date. No, I think they are. They are now tied with Oakland for that spot.
Yeah, it's like that.
Oakland holds tiebreaker. YOLO, told you earlier, you shouldn't have been letting Oakland beat you around because that's going to be tough.
It's like the old objects in rear view.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
I mean, you gotta give them credit there. What's the reason for all this?
I think it's just a well put together team, and they're playing not well put together teams. Boy, there's so many teams that are still dangerous.
Yeah.
It's so hard because any team can drop a 6-game sweep on anybody in the Pioneer League. It's so weird.
That's the thing. Like, and it's such a volatile league that's like you never really know. Like even Missoula's struggling right now, but granted, I mean that's Missoula.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to pull up as many schedules as I can so I can run through these real quick because it's going to come down to it, dude. Which I like. That's a fun vibe. I mean, let's see. Oh my god, I guess because we even kind of have to keep an eye on Missoula too, because if they grab a spot, then it brings a wild card into the conversation. Oh my god, gross.
Horrible.
I hate it. I hate it for everybody involved. All right, let's do this. Boise, what do we got left, Boise? All the way down. All right, here we go.
I mean, this is really, yeah.
I got it. All right, Boise's got 3 against YOLO. Hold on, 3. Hold on. They got more than that against YOLO. You got 9 against YOLO left. They've so far just lost their last 3 against YOLO. They're on a 6-game losing streak. I mean, how many? You got to figure they don't lose all of them, but how many do they find a way to win?
I want to say half and half here because I feel like at some point they're gonna have to snap out of it, but I'm gonna say 6-3.
So they're gonna lose 6?
Yes.
Oof. All right.
I don't like saying that.
And then they got Great Falls at the end, which could be a saving grace for them. Where they got 6 against them to finish.
5.
We're
gonna hold on.
Let's see. I'm just writing down win totals so I can keep track here. Got it. All right, I like that at least big chunks of games in teams, so we're gonna roll pretty quick. All right, looking at Oakland here. What do they have down the stretch? I think I already know if I remember right. Okay. And yep, the YOLO. So they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against Idaho Falls. Huh. I think they take 4. Is that fair? I'm trying to think about what they did last time played Idaho Falls. They took 5 out of 6 against Idaho Falls last time.
I'd go with
4 or 5. And then they got YOLO at the back end here for 6. I feel like YOLO can take 4. They're at home.
Yeah. I'll go with that.
That's going to be close. I will say. I mean, yeah, they did play well at home against Oakland last time, so that's something to keep in mind. We already said Boise's going to lose 5 out of 9 against YOLO, and they're going to take 4 there. Ooh, that puts YOLO up there. So YOLO we don't even need to discuss. Missoula, just making sure they're not involved. They got 3 against Glacier and 6 against Great Falls and 6 against Billings. Oof. They could make it interesting, I guess.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Which Billings, by the way, is not out of this yet either.
Oh, I'm getting them next, man, because they're at least worth discussing. Yeah. I think they take 2 off of Glacier. They can take more than 2 off of Glacier. Glacier's
not a good team right now.
I know, that's true. That said, I think they split Great Falls because they just lost 5 out of 6 with Great Falls. So figuring there won't be that bad, but still. And then Billings is hot. You think they split with Billings for the last 6?
I'll go split, yeah.
Okay. All right. And I think Billings looks like they're going to be the last team we're interested in here. So Billings does 3 with them. I think they play 6 against Glacier in there. I think Billings takes. I'm trying to think how they've been doing against Glacier. They just lost a series to Glacier, so maybe they split with Glacier, those 6. That's not going to get done for them.
I don't think I think they can win more than just a split against Glacier.
All right, I was thinking they lost. Just okay, and then Great Falls, they've just taken 2 out of 3. Figure they do it again.
Yeah.
All right, so that puts them at 26 as well. So that's giving us Boise in with 29 wins, YOLO in with 29 wins, with Oakland, Missoula, and Billings all hitting 26 wins and dropping.
Okay.
I mean, that would be a good playoff. Boise, YOLO, Missoula, and Glacier, whatever, but don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, that's still a tough one. Because Glacier was so good for the first part of this season, like the first, just over first third. And then the last little bit here is just last half of the season, really just not been it.
Yeah, I agree. Anyway, that's what we got then for the Pioneer League. I mean, that's not a lot of assessment there, but I know we're getting deep in this episode, so we'll probably have some more Pioneer League conversation. And we already had some Pioneer League talk in the beginning, off the field, though.
Yeah. Also, good for Adam Fogel to get that home run record.
Hell yeah, dude. 33. Let's go, baby.
Can he get to 40?
That's a stretch, but I appreciate where your head's at.
Can he get to 45?
Can
he get to 70?
I think, again, it's going to be a stretch, but never say never.
All right, there.
Depends what the pitching looks like. Good Lord.
Another 31 run a game, and
31. Yeah, man. Oh, that is insane. Anyway. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. We can call it a day.
Yeah. All right. Do your plugs, and then we'll get out of here.
I'm not promising any content, but probably Instagram stuff, Indie Ball Nation, Twitter stuff, Indie Ball Nation, YouTube stuff, Indie Ball Nation. There you go.
All right. Cool. Indie Ball Pod, Indie Ball Report. Be on one of those two.
Oh, I got a podcast.
I won't put up content. Yep.
Forgot about it.
Yep. Well, I won't put out any content, so
love that.
Chill for a while.
These vibes.
That's the dish. Like, look, okay. At this point, I think we're pretty well established. This show is just vibes.
Something like that.
Just vibes. And right now, I have some very tired vibes. Even more tired because I'm going to have to get up in 6.5 hours.
Oof. Oh, same. Oof. I think I got 6 tomorrow. Yikes.
Yeah, so it's not going to be fun. So, although that post-work nap's going to hit different.
Facts.
So, until that post-work nap, and until next time, don't forget to play ball.